Hello friends and welcome to Phone Truths, which is brought to you by Sky Mobile, Ireland's newest network, and it's also mobile you can expect more from. So, how can you expect more, I hear you ask? Well, listen up, because I'm about to tell you. So you can expect flexible data plans to let you change your plan whenever you like. You can also expect your bill to come down automatically once your phone is paid off, and you even get access to exclusive Sky rewards, like flights to Europe and loads more. It sounds absolutely incredible, to be fair. So don't settle for less. Sky Mobile is here, and it's time to expect more. You can visit sky.ie/mobile to find out more. Hello friends and welcome to Phone Truths, the podcast where we get to learn more about the lives of our guests through the prism of their mobile phone. Today's guest is someone whose phone has brought them to a place where they get to mix with some of the biggest sports stars in the world and actually even get to be them. Today's guest is an incredible guy. It's Conor Moore. Conor Moore, you are so welcome to Phone Truths. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
It's an honour to be here. My man, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited because I feel like we could get multiple people in the room today. But we can chat about the impressions.
I'm still trying to work on my Carl Mullen.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only going to be one of him here today, Bob.
Okay, would you be able to take people off very quickly?
No, not really. Like, I can give a stab at it, but it takes me ages. Like, that's one thing people don't understand. If I get someone comes up to me and they're like, corporate gig on Friday or something, or like, our boss, here's a video of him, and it's like Wednesday. I'm like I can't do that.
Yeah, that's going to take.
Unless it's very unique and everybody would easily recognise it, but like for the most part, most people have a sort of ordinary accent, but like, I can't.
Okay.
I'm not that good.
We'll get into the impressions and kind of the process behind it and maybe how your phone works into that in a few minutes' time. But do you think you have a healthy relationship with your phone? Because I feel like with your work, it's something that you'd be very tied to.
Oh yeah, it's my life. Like my wife was on the way up here. She was like, "You're gonna tell him like that you're married to the phone, like you literally are." To a point where it's not great for you, and everything about your work being on it is not great because like you get live feedback on your work and stuff. And if you years ago, like I used to like really hone in on comments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that's not good for you. Now I've gone to the point where I've actually taken the apps off my phone, so they're on my laptop. So like. And I mightn't see them for a couple of days. Now, this is only in the last couple of weeks I did it.
Wow.
Everything's got better. My marriage has got better. My wife actually said to me, she goes, since you got rid of those apps, you're actually more chatty and stuff, like having dinner and everything. I was like this. I had it here all the time. And I was like, bang, and I'd be chatting away and I'm like that, and talking away and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm looking at nothing like.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. People forget, like, apps are made to be addictive. And there is an element of, like, you're feeding a dopamine addiction when an app notification comes in. It is literally triggering a chemical
100%.
response in your brain.
Now, I've notifications off for a few years, like, because like, you couldn't have them on your apps, if multiple people are watching your stuff all the time. Because your phone is dinging
as well.
And it's dinging and stuff. You just have to flick it off. So it's a couple of years now since I had the notifications on. Which means, so if I'm a bit slow getting back to you, I just didn't see it. But yeah, no, having it off the phone now the last couple of weeks, I'm like, all right, this is better. But I still have to download it when I need to upload stuff. So it's a big rigmarole then. After, like this morning I had to upload something, so I had to download all the apps in the car. I'm sitting there downloading, and then I have to upload the videos and stuff. And then get rid of the apps then after it then, so that I'm not like, getting buzzes or looking at comments and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. And I think you're so right because the thing is, like, say with comments, when you do, when you're a content creator, it does matter to you what people think of your work. You wouldn't be putting it up otherwise. And then if someone says something that really gets you, like, it can kind of have an effect on your mood for the day.
Oh yeah, like if you put up and every now and again you'll put up a video that doesn't get received very well and it'll get smashed and you're getting smashed. Like, just if you're looking at that, your head is going to be absolutely wrecked. But I remember I was doing a thing with Rory McIlroy one night and he was saying that a relative of his gave him a sort of, I don't know, some sort of memento or something like to put up on the wall, and it was like, don't read the comments. And it's so true. But the only problem with that is, like, when you're an athlete or you're somebody that, like, that their phone is not their work.
Yes.
Where the feedback for my work is if it gets received well online.
Yeah.
So I can't not pay attention to comments.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I leave it and I'll ask my brother, how's it going? He's like, it's going great. Everyone loves it or something.
Okay.
And it'll be just like that. Or I will go in and look at them, but I can't avoid them. So like I have to like see them, but it's just about like not really caring then, because it's like, listen, I'll do a video next week and it's just about that video then.
Yeah.
Do you know? And like if you learn and people say that like, oh, if you're not able to take that kind of criticism, you shouldn't do it. But no one's able to take it.
Yes.
But you end up just getting like a thick skin.
Yeah.
And it's like, who cares? Because you're after a while, you're like, all right, I know, like I'm well able to do the job. I'm not. It's not that they all sound the same.
Yes.
Or that he's shit. Or whatever,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Do you find as well though, like there's certain platforms that are worse? I find for example, TikTok. Like TikTok, you put something up and it's just like, okay, let's just wait for the abuse now. Because there's just people who go around TikTok and they love it. They love spouting abuse. Whereas I find Instagram like a much friendlier place.
What's weird is I find now my Instagram is perfect. You know when it's your own following, like it's always grand. But if you go up on someone else's Instagram, I find it can be actually worse. And people always talk about Twitter.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about my stuff, but my Twitter is never too bad.
Interesting.
Yeah, now
okay.
sometimes sometimes it is, but it's not like to the extent where I'm like, oh, Twitter's the worst one because everybody thinks it is. Because like it's a cesspit. Like that was one of the apps I was like I got rid of. I love Twitter for instant information and all the rest. But like if I see another like someone getting attacked by a dog or another conspiracy theory and all this stuff coming up my feed, I'm like, I'm getting a distorted view of the world.
Yes.
So I got rid of Twitter.
That's the thing. I got rid of Twitter too because it was like unsolicited videos of something brutal happening. You're like,
someone getting the shit bet out of them.
I did not ask for this. Yeah. Like I really didn't. And people say like scroll past, but oftentimes it goes straight in to like the worst moment.
I can't. I'm looking at it. I'm sending it to the lads then, and then I'm giving out that I seen it. And I got rid of it. But now when I say I got rid of it, I still have it on my laptop. Everything's on my laptop. So I'm going back to like the 2008 period. You know, when you're in college or something, it's on the laptop and someone grabs your laptop and then starts writing to people, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I have it all on my laptop now. So like when I'm working, because I'm only working when I have my laptop, that's when I look, because like Twitter's good for work. Like it's good for just anything, sports news. To be fair, stuff that does happen, real time news comes up there the quickest. The only problem is a lot of bullshit comes up in it too.
Yeah. And
it's like there's no distinction between the two of them. If one gets retweet, it doesn't matter. Like it
can be hard to decipher.
Yeah.
Then from a personal point of view, like does your phone serve as a bit of a lifeline because you do a lot of travel? Is it important in that sense?
Oh yeah. It is, like FaceTiming and all that kind of stuff. It's huge. My brother lives in America and he comes home like every Christmas and he walks in and we're like, well, do you know what I mean? Since I was talking to you yesterday, like the phone, it's communicating all the time, whether it's on WhatsApp or a phone call every couple of days, but like you just don't feel. It's like when we walked in here today and you said to me, have we met before?
I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Had we ever met in person?
And I was thinking this last night. I was going, is this one of those occasions now where I think I've met Carl and I've not met Carl? Yeah. And I'm going to walk in and go, well, what's the crack? Because it happened to me last week playing golf. This lad that I chan away to him for years on Instagram or whatever. And then he walks over, gets out a cart and I'm like, great to see you again. He goes, nice to meet you. Yeah. And I'm like, We've not met.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we've never met, man.
Wow.
And I was like, Jesus, like that is mad.
And it feels like the lines are getting more and more blurred in that sense because it's really hard to decipher now whether you've met someone or not because they do play such a part of our lives now.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly in your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then although like for you, you're on radio and stuff, so people listen to you for like however many hours every morning. So you actually get a sense of your personality. With me then, it's like I don't really post anything up other than my videos in different characters.
Yes.
So when I meet people then, do you know, it's kind of like they're meeting me and they're nearly, oh Jesus, you know, or you even like you sound like that, whatever. Like,
yes.
I kind of get that a lot.
Well, in the spirit then of getting to know a little bit more about you, this is the part where we get a bit nostalgic. Okay, so I want to start off by asking, what was your first phone?
It was a Nokia 3210.
The classic.
Yeah.
A classic.
My older brother, like he was mad for a phone for years and didn't get one. And it was like, you'll get a phone when you're 14, you get a phone when you're 14. He got a phone when he was 14. Then I was like, can I get a phone? They're like, oh, fuck it, yeah. He was all right with it. So I got a phone when I was like 12 maybe.
Yeah.
I think I was in like 6th class, just about to go to secondary school. And I had a Nokia 3210.
A lot of
silver
people,
one.
It was their confirmation present. I know a lot of people like that's when I got my first phone. It was for my confirmation. Yeah. Was there any rules around it at the time? Do you remember it being like one of these things where it was like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that?
No, sure. Back then, like, what could you do? You could only send outside, maybe ringing Babe Station or something. But I used the house phone for that, so like, I wasn't spending my own money. But like literally, that's all it was. It was like I there was no rules. There was no nothing. Like I would like now if I have a kid or whatever, and it's like you got to give him a phone. I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't know how I'd feel about it. I probably would make them wait till they're 14 or 15.
Yeah.
Because the internet's there on it.
Totally.
Or if there's a way of blocking the internet from it. But then it's like the internet's so good as well in another sense. But it's like you just don't know. So back then, what were we doing? Playing Snake.
That was literally it. Yeah. That's like I'm not even going there. I'm like, I'll just wait and see what the lay of the land is in 10 years' time with the kids, and then I'll worry about it, because you drive yourself demented.
Oh yeah.
Worrying about all the things now that they're going to be exposed to. What is the first text you ever remember sending?
I thought about this one, and I was like, I can't remember the first text that I but I do know I was when I got a phone, I was like the 6th class version of Father Stone, where I'd be texting girls, and my thing was like, well, they would text back, oh hey, how's it? And I go, what you up to?
Yeah.
They'd say, oh, not much. You, not much. How's all? Good. And it was like awful, to a point where I remember a girl actually said to me, she goes, you're the most boring person in the world to text. So I was just so bad or so unconfident with the phone. I just would not have a conversation, and it was the exact same crap all the time. But they're the only messages I can remember sending on the Nokias was that.
Did your phone ever get you in trouble when you were younger?
The house phone did. My phone didn't. The house phone did for bills.
Okay. So who would you have been ringing?
I was ringing.
Babe Station.
No. Yeah, I know. I remember when me and my brother, we had 2 girlfriends, and we would ring them off the landline. Back when you rang from a landline to a mobile phone, it was like massive money.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll never forget my father coming in. I can still see the aircon bill. We came back from school, and he was off the cigarettes at the time. And he was off it a while, and he was on the Nicorette, walked in, seen this smoke at the table, and he's like, I was like £200 or something, like it was something astronomical. And I remember me and the brother looked at each other like, fuck, out of here, bang, ran off up the field, and he paid for it anyway. But
okay, he paid.
That got me in trouble. I don't think my phone ever. Oh, it did, like where I remember my uncle twice actually, where I sent messages to the wrong people. Missed football training, GA thing, and I texted my cousin, and I was like, fuck, whatever, missing training this morning. I was like, just tell Ned I'm sick or whatever, and sent it to Ned. Now, Ned's my uncle. So Ned is at training, everyone's in the circle. Look at this, little bollocks, you have the rightness. Tell Ned I'm sick. Who's he sending that to? Whatever, and everyone just quiet. And then there was another time I was looking to get a house in Woodlawn in New York.
Yeah.
And I needed a guarantor. I was only after arriving over, and this guy was like, he was a bit like standoffish with me, and I was a bit chatty for him, and he was like kind of looking at me a bit suspicious. And then he says, I'm going to need a guarantor or whatever. So my cousin's living over there years, got good credit and stuff.
Yeah.
So I leave the house and I text him. I go, yeah, he's a bit of a narc, yo, whatever. You just go in there now this evening for me, will you? And I just meant like, put on a show for him and go in and chat him, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I sent it straight to the landlord, like, and that was the end of the house, yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. But you know what? It's happened to all of us. Everyone's done it at some point. Can you actually, I've always wondered this, what is the connection with America? Because you spend a lot of time there.
I went over for a J1 back in 2012. Lived there 2013, came home 2014. And then when I got the gig with the Golf Channel, I moved to New York, because my uncle and cousins are all in New York, like, so we're always over and back there. But I always loved it. And then I was like, anytime I lived over there, you just literally, you work to like go drinking at the weekend.
Yeah.
So you're working nearly 6 days probably, and you're getting to go out on a Saturday night, and you get Sunday off. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go over. I got the gig with the Golf Channel. I was like, right, I'll move over and just live in the middle of New York for the year, with not a whole lot of work to do. Like, I had a contract with the Golf Channel. I was like, that's all. I just want to chat. So I told everyone, I was like, Golf Channel are making me move.
Yeah.
I was like, sure, they didn't care where I was. It was on the internet. So I moved into an apartment in Manhattan, stayed there for a year, and then obviously opened the pub up over in New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I have a big connection with New York. I love the place. It's like, when I go there, I feel like I'm at home. It's like another home. Okay.
Do you find it an interesting place in terms of like nobody cares? Yeah, I always find that, like, say here being an influencer or being, someone who is a content creator, a lot of times the question you get asked is like, do you not get embarrassed, like, recording videos in public? In America, no one gives a shit. Like, no one cares what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I find like you can just walk up to people with a phone. In this country, people, and rightly so too, like, you know, you're walking up to someone with a phone.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I'd be like that, but I'm getting better. But even when I go to F1 things,
Yeah.
like I remember like meeting Max and like the first time and someone was coming with me with a phone and I'm like, no, man, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just let me meet him.
Yeah.
Don't come in. I don't want him going, what is this? But he was like, no, this is what everybody does here.
Okay.
Like he'd like, if you look over now, there's probably 2 people with phones like that recording content.
Yes.
And the world is gone like that with content.
Wow.
Do you know where I think most people that are in the public eye that are doing a job realize like that the phone is a big part of it now.
Yeah.
And like content is massive for everybody. And it does, for the most part, it benefits people. So like now when I go to even golf things, if I walk up and talk to someone, I don't really care if there's a phone there. If I have, and it's, you know, it might be my brother or someone I brought with me with the phone, I'm just record it, might get a piece of content.
Okay.
So that's why, you know, when we went to the F1 thing,
Yeah.
I originally was a bit like, oh, we'd pick and choose our moments.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, record everything.
And then just...
And then we met Danny Ricciardo.
He's like, oh, say shit about me again and see what happens, mate.
All those little things like that I never would. I didn't even know that was recording.
Yeah.
So I was chatting to him or whatever. And then I walk over and then Matt, a fella, was recording with me and he's like, oh, mate, I got that. And I was like, what? He goes, I got that. I think it's brilliant, you know. And I was like, oh, really brilliant. So we got back to the hotel and he was like, look, there you are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm jumping around now, but I can't ignore the F1 stuff because I'm.
I know, that's why I
F1
brought
nut.
it up. It was like,
Like
segue.
the F1 stuff is sensational, and I suppose that's the great thing about with the sports stuff, because you know if you're into that sport and you have someone who can be a really good impressionist, you're so kind of tied into it anyway that you're really invested. So whether you're a golf fan or whether you're a football fan, but for me, the content that you make that I really identify with is the F1 stuff. But I remember seeing a video a while ago, and it was of the F1 drivers watching you do impressions of them, and they were all huddled around the phone watching it. I always wanted to know, what was the moment like when you saw that video for the first time?
When I saw it for the first time, I didn't know what they were looking at. So I was down at the lake, and I was just after coming in off the lake. I was on my boat. It's a little, it's not a yacht. It's a little lake boat. And I was on Loch Ennell, came off. And I remember someone sent it to me and I was half looking at it. I couldn't really hear it. And I just put it back in my pocket. And I was like, oh, grand. And then it was sent again. You know, about, I'd say 10 minutes later, it was sent again. I saw it. And you see, you couldn't really hear it or whatever. And it was only the third time that I actually was like, oh, geez, they're watching me or whatever.
Wow.
But it coincided, unfortunately, for that. I was after doing a video about Mayo, Jimmy Sloyne. I don't know if you know him. He's a character I do. Joe Brawley and Jimmy Sloyne.
Okay.
So I did Jimmy and he was like, Mayo or James Horn is a gobshite and all this. So I did this video. And it's weird how that happened on the same weekend. And I couldn't stop watching the reaction to the Jimmy Sloyne stuff and the Brawley thing.
Okay.
Where, do you know the way you're like so into F1?
Yeah.
And I'd be like so into GA.
Yes.
So when the F1, like obviously I was like, oh, that's brilliant. But even my wife was like, you keep talking about this Mayo video you did. And it's like, you know, the F1 drivers were literally lying in bed and she's like, you keep going on about that video or whatever. And I'm like, but that was a great piece of content.
Yeah.
Because sometimes like, you know, some videos just, they matter more, especially if they're a bit local or something.
Yeah.
They just hit me a bit better.
Okay.
But like, it was unreal. It was surreal seeing it. And then I didn't know how surreal it was until I got over then to the US Grand Prix. And it was like kind of the respect everybody had just because I was already in with the drivers, because
Right.
it was, you know, when you go to these things, you're like, I hope they like it. Like, I hope like, you know, I'm not going to get any crap for it or whatever.
Yeah.
When I got there, it was very much like, everyone's excited to see you.
Wow.
Do you know,
okay.
and then we went to Austin and it was honestly one of the best working weeks of my life. Now I was worked to the bone where I did stuff with Toto, did stuff with Carlos.
Yeah.
And then I went out on the Saturday night and we were out with a load of people. We were at this party on Rainy Street in Austin, which is like an amazing place. I don't know if you're on it.
No.
But anyway, it's top class over there, right? So we're drinking all. Now, when I say drinking, I think I had maybe 3 pints, but there was loud music and I have a really weak voice.
Okay.
I don't have like a powerful voice.
Yeah.
So like anything will make me hoarse. So I was supposed to do the grid with Martin Brundle on the Sunday. And I was supposed to do stuff with McLaren. And I rocked up on Sunday morning like looking a bit sheepish. And then I was out with some people the night before. And I couldn't deny that I was out.
Yeah.
But I walk up to Martin Brundle and Tommy at Sky Sports and I'm like, lads, sorry, but I can't do the whatever. I was kind of like, it was worse than that. Like, it was really screechy and I was like, I can't do it. Were you out last night?
Oh.
And I was like, Like I had 2 or 3, but it wasn't that like. And he was like, and my wife was like, he's so disgusted with you. Like he is just so annoyed. But we ended up doing a bit of content with Brundle a couple of months later that did huge numbers over at Sky.
Yeah.
When I got over there, I was like, oh, this lad doesn't like me at all. Like, and he came over, he goes, yeah, you were pissed the last time, weren't you? I was like, I actually wasn't. It was the loud music and me talking to people because I'm like, oh, and I'm shouting up at people, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that week was honestly brilliant. But the F1 is top class. But I hate podcasts. I really, Max, this is crap. I don't know why I come here. But I'm doing my own podcast now.
It's amazing.
Well, not really. It's not my podcast. So Danny Rick has left and Raikkonen left like a year ago.
Yes.
This isn't going where you think it's going.
Okay, yeah, I'm like, whoa, where are we going here?
No. This is me doing Danny Rick and Kimi Raikkonen, and I'm going to do the R&R podcast, I'm going to call it. So it's just going to be the 2 of them. I just think it'll be good, and it's a good way of keeping them.
Because they couldn't be more opposite to each other.
Yeah. Like Danny is just so positive, and then Kimmy's got I don't really give a shit. I'm just getting paid to be here. So
for anyone who's not an F1 fan, you've got like Danny Rick, who's from Australia. He's as outgoing as they come. And
Great
then
teeth.
Kimi Raikkonen, who is Finnish, isn't he? Yeah, he's Finnish.
Yeah.
And the whole time he was in F1, it was like it was an inconvenience to him.
Yeah.
He was, oh wow.
No, really. Remember I did that famous clip. Did you see it, Kimmy? Did you see it happen? He goes, no, I was taking a shit. So.
On the grid, yeah. Wow. Okay, so what's it called?
The R&R podcast. Something like that. I haven't finalised the name for it, but Ricardo Raikkonen R&R. There's something there, I think.
Amazing.
Some sort of wordplay. I'll figure it out.
Okay, well, you've got your first subscriber here. That is something I'll absolutely be listening to.
Guest on the podcast.
Great stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
we've got Carl Mullen here from The Breakfast Show. Yeah. People all around the world, mate.
Actually terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. That poor man was shafted, by the way. Well, at the time of this recording anyway, he's been shafted. Okay.
Let's not get into it.
I want to, because that's too nerdy.
Emotional.
I want to get into like a highlights reel of your phone now. So I want to know, is there any like particular memory or moment that you have in your camera roll that you find yourself going back to where you're like, oh, that was a great moment?
Do you know what? There's too many. I don't mean to sound like an asshole saying that, but I was looking through it last night and I'm like, geez, all these things. I was like, because you don't go through it very often. I think I have like 13,000 photographs. But the one thing I just go back to all the time, for the last 2 years, constantly, my dog. I just take so many pictures of the dog. And me and my wife just constantly send each other pictures of the dog all day.
Yeah.
It's like our dog is a newborn baby for the last 2.5 years. It's like, look at the dog lying down there. Look at the dog sitting up now. Look at the dog like lying down again. He's sitting up again.
Yeah.
Like like the most benign sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Boring. Like the dog just like looks at us. He's a cockapoo, so he's got loads of like side eye.
Yeah.
You know, he's judging you all the time. But I mean, like my wife at the time was working in Dublin, so she was getting up really early, and she was up. She'd leave before I'd be getting up. She'd be gone at like 5:30, and she would let the dog up the morning into the bed, like whatever. So I would wake up with a dog on the other pillow. Like I would just wake up like that, and I'll give you the picture of it. But like he's like a teddy bear. He's just like a teddy bear, and he's the thing that I just go back and watch all the time. And then I'll go back to like sports events. One of the big reels, Monaco or stuff like that.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of hard to look at reels on your phone because usually the reels are on Instagram. So if I want to look back at something, if something's good enough, I'll just stick it on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't really put any like. There's nothing like on my Instagram about my life really much.
Okay.
It's all just work.
Yeah.
So if I go to a work thing, like if I go to a Grand Prix, you know, people, your followers don't just want to see maybe impressions. Yeah, they want a bit of that, but they want to see what the Vegas Grand Prix is like.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like, so a lot of those, but again, they'd be kind of on Instagram.
Okay.
But I'd go back and look at sports stuff, golf things, and
Wait till you see when you have a baby in the equation, the camera roll.
I don't know if I'll actually, I think the dog is still out.
Yeah. Hand on heart, see with the dog though, I always remember when we were expecting Davy, who was like our first baby.
Yeah.
I remember being terrified because I was like, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like it was honestly scary waiting to become a dad. I don't know how you feel about it, but like I remember feeling like really, really kind of frightened about the idea of becoming a dad. But the mad thing was when the baby came along, when Davy was born, after a few weeks, I realised, I swear to God, the dog made me ready to be a dad. Because we had Angie from when she was a puppy.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that I was in charge of another living thing, I realised, okay, actually, I was able for this. I was well able for it. And I had actually done it before with the dog. In fact, I actually think the dog was probably harder.
So when the baby makes noise, you just throw it outside.
Exactly. Sorry, and also that's a very male perspective to come at that thing.
Sleeping in the utility room. No. Well, I'm glad you said that, yeah, because like I definitely, I don't know, even with my work and everything, as soon as I found out like, we were having a baby, I was like, oh, everything changes now. It's not so much this year. Now you're like, I have to think about the following years and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking more about work, and it makes you work harder, like I definitely think, but like at the same time, yeah, I'm hoping I get that feeling sort of like I'm a little bit like scared of it.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
It is. It's scary, but like you realise then all of our parents made it up as they went along. There's no right way of doing it. You just figure it out. Do you ever wonder about the kind of footprint you're leaving there for your kids to look back at in terms of the online stuff?
Yeah, I do, yeah. What's weird is I actually kind of think like when I started doing it, like I took a lot more risks than I probably do now. And now I'm like on the other way where like I want to start taking more risks again. Do you know, you can kind of get caught up because you're like, well, can you do that? Can you do it? But I'm like, yeah, you can do that. You can do that. Like these aren't like awful, like, you know, I'm not going to do something stupid that's really offensive or anything. But it nearly gets to a point where you're a little bit too tentative.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I want to like take more risks because I want to make sure that you like your kid has to grow up knowing you got to take risks and stuff, and you can't like play it safe all the time. Stuff like that, like nearly silly things. Sometimes I think I'm too deep with it. Then I'm like, just relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just have the kid. You know.
I think cancel culture though as well has like led us to be that way, where you're terrified of like say doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing.
Oh yeah,
and thinking like, oh, that could be it. You know what I mean? But then it could be something where you look back and you're like, why was I worried about that? Like that wasn't.
No, yeah.
Like people generally get cancelled for something that's actually, when you look at it,
really bad. Yeah, you
bad.
could get heat for some, because one tweet from anybody or whatever it is, comment, can actually set something off or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's gone in a day or two.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But and that's what I was talking about earlier on. You just become inured or whatever to like. After a while, all this stuff doesn't matter, and you realise like it was something Joe Bradley said to me, and he was like, you know, your phone, like you just have to look at it like it's not real life.
Mm-hmm.
Your real life is like your family, your friends. You know, where you spend and who you talk to, like 95% of the time, that is literally real life. And if they think well of you and stuff, because people say, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks, but like you got to care what some people think. Like, people that are close to you, you want them to think well of you and stuff like that. And like, I've great family, great friends, you know, great family life and stuff like that. I'm just like, you know, you got to look at the phone then sometimes like it's not real. Like just throw your stuff out there and just leave it there, and whatever happens.
Okay.
Like, and then tomorrow or in 2 hours they're talking about something else or they're watching a different video. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't, because you do get caught up and think, like as someone said, like you're the center of the universe. Like you're not. Like no one really cares about anything you're doing or videos and things like this. They watch your video, 2 minutes, they're gone. They could put up a comment, whatever. It could be good, bad, different, but it's just like they're on to the next thing. Everyone's like worried about themselves. Like
it sounds to me like you've gotten to a place where you've very good relationship with your phone now. Like, but have you? Does that come from a place of having to?
My wife's getting sick.
Having
this right now.
But like, did you have a moment of realization at any point, being like, right, this is too much. Like, I'm too married to this thing.
Yeah, and a few of them. Like, I want to get way better at this. Like, I want to get to a point where, especially now that if I like we've kids and stuff, my wife's like, you just can't be on that phone the way you are. Like, it's just so bad. And especially if you've kids and stuff like that, you can't, because they'll just do it as well. And then they're like caught up in it. Because like I look at it and I go, imagine being 14 or 15 and you put up a picture in your class and it gets 13 likes or whatever. The guy over here puts up a picture and it gets like 198 likes. You can literally now measure your popularity on your phone.
Yeah.
That for me is scary.
Funny, like I'm even listening to you now, but I feel like I don't think I have it as figured out as you do. Like I still struggle with that balance. But you're right. Like even the fact that you've gotten to a place where you're like, I'm taking those apps off the phone, because it's like this constant draw and this feeling of like, if I'm not there on top of it now, I'm irrelevant.
Yeah.
Just this feeling of like you're going to be left behind.
And there was a few days like where I kept swiping over to the Instagram app and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I would
just shows
take the phone out and I'm like, oh, it's not there.
Yeah.
Take it out, go to it again. It's not there. It's unbelievable how, and then you realize you're so addicted to it.
Wow.
But the only thing about it is I'm still going to be addicted to it because of all the news apps and stuff, and I have to follow all the news.
Yes.
I'm taking screenshots here. I have to follow all the news and stuff like that. So like I can't get away from it. Like, and it's the reason I do the job that I do. Like at the end of the day, if I had no phone, I wouldn't be doing this. Like, because like Mario was with like on like with Communicorp or whatever, Today FM. Oliver is in with RTE. They're smashing it for years. So, like, was there, how do you walk in and go, hey, can you take a punt on me and put me on something? You can't. So, like they're not going to take a risk on someone they have no idea about. So, it's like, I use the phone then to build up my own platform and to show people that I could do that or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, again, as much as I, like, can complain about it because it can be bad for you, it's still also amazing because, like, you could be whatever age and go, oh, you like football? You could just start talking about football on your phone and whatever. You like wine, you can start talking about wine. You can start uploading using your phone, the quality of the camera.
Yeah.
There's so much good about the phone.
Yeah.
I should be coming on a phone podcast and slating the phone.
No, but that's the funny thing. Like, as in, and across the board, it is like there's a real tug of war with people in terms of having the healthy relationship with the phone. I'm interested as well to know, like, for you, when there's an impression that you decide you want to go for, you see someone, like, how does that begin? Like, is that literally you're scrolling through Instagram, you go, oh, I'm going to start doing them?
There's a few things that come into it. Like, so first off, that person has to be, like, for instance, now when I'm doing Premier League stuff, like Mourinho is one of my best impressions, but he's not managing anyone in the Premier League.
Okay.
So he's not in the news over here, really.
Yes.
The odd time he'll come in, Fenerbahce or whatever now. So, like, when people are gone out of off the limelight and stuff, you'll notice that it's harder to get the views with them because everything on the internet, I find, not everything, but like it's all kind of relevant to what's going on today or yesterday.
Yeah.
So you're hopping on trending topics. So when people are trending, or I look like Jordan Peterson's one I picked up. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Well, God, and it's great to be on the podcast, talking about phone truths.
Like, I worked on that for ages, and it's like he's definitely one that you could, like, that I worked on for a long time. And my phone, like, I would send his impression to my brothers, and I'll send it to people and go, score that out of 10 for me.
Okay.
And they'll send it back and be like, it's a 7 or whatever. So I like to get to 8 or a 9 with people before, like, I do them.
Yeah.
So the phone, yeah. And then also my phone, even for practicing, like, I remember a girl catching me walking down the town one day. It was a Grafton Street or something, and I was listening. I took all the music off my phone. I would just have, like, voices on my phone.
Okay.
So I'd only listen to people. So I'd walk around with earphones. I've always earphones in, like, to a point where people are like, oh, dickhead, but I forget they're in.
Yeah.
I don't even feel them. But walking down the town, and I was doing Padraig Harrington. I'm walking along going,
Yeah, I feel it was great. I was, when I thought I played very, very well and all, and it was just,
and I remember, like, this girl, like, she was from Mullingar, and she was like, oh, well. And I was like, oh, well, what's good? She was like, oh, you talking to someone? I was like, no, I was trying to explain. Like, I was walking, like, literally talking like that along Grafton Street. Had to explain to her then I was practicing or whatever.
Well,
so sometimes, like, even I'll walk into a shop with the earphones on, and I'll be listening to someone, and I'll pretend I'm on the phone, and I'll be talking back on the phone.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing Simon Harris this morning when I was over, where was I this morning? I was in the city there. I had a thing to go into at 10 o'clock.
And I was walking around like that, and I was, and it was great. I was listening to his Ryan Tuberty podcast, and I was like, okay, this is how Simon talks.
So I was, like, in the shop buying stuff, and as I'm, like, waiting in the queue, I'm like, and I have to say, I think this government, we need to do that. And it's like, so I'm, like, practicing, like, as I'm walking around, like, and people think I'm on the phone. Well, if someone recognized me or whatever and they were listening, they were like, that's not his voice. They probably get what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay.
But so my phone is huge, practicing, doing the faces, recording myself. Like, a lot of time, if I have a good line, I'll actually say it into the phone in a video and then favorite the video so I can go back and find it.
Okay.
If it's a gag I think of or something, or if it's an impression that, like, I felt was good. So, yeah.
What I want to know is, like, the gift you have, you can't just, like, flick the switch and start it. Like, you must have been doing this from the age of being a kid.
I was, like, I did it. My dad, après match, remember the lads? So
What a show.
he got the DVD, not the tape, and I had just seen him laughing at it, so I thought it was, like, it has to be funny. He's laughing
Hello,
at
pixie
it.
heads.
Yeah. Like, Barry and that, they're just genius. But so I watched that, and then I started doing that. Then you're just pretty much copying them. You're doing, I'm a Duffy, It was great, you know, and Bill, you know, live. And so I was doing them. But then, like, I don't know, got to a stage when I was about 12 and I was like, I was doing it in school. One of my best friends loved him, Alan Cashman. And to this day, like, I'll go up to his house, like, and we'll write stuff. We'll sit there. He'll help me write stuff. Like, he's actually, like, he's got great, like, comedic judgment and timing and stuff.
Okay.
So, like, I still use him to this day. But he was the only fella that actually was like, oh, man, he'd be always laughing at it and stuff. But, like, no one else really. And then when I got, like, into secondary school, didn't really do it then.
Yeah.
Just never. So, like, when I came out of the woodwork doing it, like, I was doing my uncle and stuff down in my club. But, like, my first video was literally after, like, a fight in a GA match, and the lads were all talking about it, and it was like WhatsApp was only getting going at the time.
Yeah.
And I sent in a video then. It was like, Mourinho, I think it was a very special fight. I think it was fantastic. I was doing Beckham. I was like, you know, myself and Victoria, we had to get up and leave. I mean, it was a disgrace, really. So I put this in, and all the boys were like, and when I look back at it now, I'm going, geez, it was terrible. But, like, at the time, first time they see it, they're like, oh, that's deadly. So they're like, put it on Facebook or whatever, put it on Facebook. And then it just took off from there. Like,
Okay.
literally, I quit my job a few days later, and I was like, I'm just going to make videos for a while and see what happens.
Wow. It was that instant.
Instant, yeah. At
Unbelievable.
the point I came home on, I remember Joe.e straight away after that first video were like, we could give you a job. And I went up to them and they're like, show us your stuff. And I was like, stuff? They're like, yeah, like your repertoire of stuff. Have you got a video? I was like, see that video you're looking at there? I was
That's
like,
it.
That's the stuff.
Wow.
Like, that's it. And they were like, all right, well, we thought you had more in you and stuff and blah, blah, blah. So I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
And I had, like, built it up that I was definitely getting this job, and I was thinking, like, you know, going from working, like, you know, I was doing telesales or whatever, and then this job, and I was like, this would be just amazing, go over there. And then it didn't happen, and I was really dejected, went home. My mother was like, yeah, look, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is, you know, just, you know, what's for you won't go by or whatever. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm going to set up a page. She's like, good for you. I'll still do the video. She goes, you're dead right, yeah. I was like, quit my job. She's like, you fucking idiot. I was like, you what? I was like, no, I'm telling you. I was like, I'm going to do it for like 6 months. I did it. And then after 4 months, I did Klopp. I did a video. Klopp just came on the scene and nobody was doing them.
Yes.
And I was looking at this fella on TV and it's like, oh, for showing this mo is great. And we playing the heavy metal, you know. And I was like, this lad is just gold. And then a bit of pep as well. So I started doing the two of them because no one was really doing them. And bang. And that's kind of how I've always kind of done it, because, you know, when you do people that are already done, people will always compare it to like, oh, well, he did it better and he did this one and blah, blah, blah. But when I started doing the GA stuff, like I was doing Gerlach Nan. And I don't know if you know who he is, like, but like he's a famous hurler from back in, and manager from back in the 90s, like 80s, 90s with Clare, 70s playing with Clare. But he's old school Irish, like, you know, just sits back and he goes, that was a terrible game of hurling. I mean, there wasn't one red card, there was no slaps, there was no nothing. I tell you, that was just an absolute pathetic game of hurling. And I put this fella out and everyone's like, just caught on straight away.
Okay.
They're like, you're doing him. And some lads were like, who is he? But he just built up into a character for
Deadly.
me. And only for him, I would say, like, he's the genesis of everything I do. If I wasn't doing him, I just don't think I would have continued doing it, because he was the first guy that was a character people liked. So when I was putting it out and I was getting so much love for it, that like breeds confidence and then encouragement. And then I'm like, I'll make more of these. And then you start just kind of like taking the same template there, bringing it over to soccer. So I started doing soccer then. And that's Joe.e. When I started doing Klopp, they hired me. Then did the same in golf, went and done the golf stuff, and then pretty much just replicated the same thing in F1. And it's all just been the same kind of strategy or whatever. You know, get about 8 or 9 people, start off with them, put out one video where there's eight or nine in a row, let that blow up. And it's just always worked that way so far.
Wow.
But I think I'm spent. I don't think I could get involved. I've been asked to get, like, by different, how would you say, associations or whatever, like to do their games and stuff. Like hockey in America were asking me. I remember like a company had asked me to do tennis as well. But I was like, if I have to be really interested in it, because it'll annoy me then having to follow it, because it's all about knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not about, for me, it's not about the voice. It's about knowing what's going on, what you should be talking about. And to do that, then I feel like I have to watch my weekends at the minute. I'm like F1, golf, soccer, like Saturday and Sunday is taken up, especially soccer. It just goes on all bloody week.
No one sees that level of work that goes into
Oh
it.
yeah. Now when I say work, my wife's like, he sits on the couch watching sports. That was a great one actually. She actually one day asked me to go do something. I was like, look, Chelsea are playing Man United. I have to stay and watch this. And she's like, oh, you always have to stay, but you won't do a video, like. And I was like, well, hopefully I'll do a video. And left anyway, and then came back. I was sitting there and I was like, I think I have a video. So I did it. It was around the time of my birthday a few years ago. Next morning, Gary Lineker retweets, gets about 3 million views. And I'm like, you see?
Yeah.
You see? Sitting on the couch works. Sitting on this couch watching that is like, that's the equivalent of a fella going out laying blocks. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's your trait.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to know just like some of the good, the bad, and the ugly of your phone. What is the best phone call you've ever received?
I've received, plenty of good phone calls. But I remember the one that was really like where I was walking on air. I got a tweet from Bridgestone and they're like, hey, look, we want to talk to you about a potential a golf opportunity. And I was only in golf like a couple of months at this stage doing this stuff. And I'm like, brilliant. And I'm like, I'm going to get some free golf balls off Bridgestone. They make golf balls, right? And all of a sudden got back up to the house and I'm like, yeah, here's my agent's email, blah, blah, blah. And Niamh from here rings me up and she's like, we've just had like an email from Bridgestone Golf. And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, what's the story? What's in for? Like, and I literally was expecting like, do a video, get a load of golf balls for free or something like that. They're like, they want you to do an ad with Tiger Woods. And I was like, what?
Wow.
I was walking up to Dublin Road, Mullingar, and I'm like, what? And now at the same time, I still didn't believe it. I was like, so wait a minute. So explain this to me now. Have you gone back and forth? Is Tiger on for this? They're like, well, they haven't broached it with him first. They want to broach it with you.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go to him first. So like, would you be up for it? I was like, no, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course, whatever. But then I just completely kind of sunk again and I was like, he's not going to. They said they'll know within 3 days. And then about 3 hours later, she phones me up. She's like, he's in.
Whoa.
And I remember just telling people at home and all, I'm like, I'm doing an ad with Tiger Woods. And I think even everybody was like nearly subdued, like, that can't be.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, this is Tiger Woods.
I think that was the first time you were really on my radar. I was like, holy shit, like this is unbelievable. There's an Irish guy like doing stuff with Tiger Woods. It was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, like and again, all of it has just come from the phone. All of it's come from making a few videos and like it's just crazy. Do you know, even just shooting the thing with like, I was talking to my brother there yesterday and we were saying, so I've done ads now, I think Tiger, Jose, I just done one with Keane. And it's like, these are like guys, like, you know, it's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
to do stuff with these lads, like just taking the mic on your phone, like it's
It all
just
started
insane.
there. Yeah. Have you ever got a phone call where like your stomach dropped?
Thankfully, I don't think I have. Like, obviously, bad news that might be expecting and stuff, but like never. The only time my phone, when I was a kid, and again, it goes back to the house phone. When I hear a house phone ringing, like it's like, whoa.
Right.
So when a house phone rings at 12 o'clock at night, I remember my cousin had passed away. She was just a baby or whatever, but it was the first time we'd ever like experienced anything like that in our family.
Wow.
Do you know, or someone dying. And I just remember the phone ringing 1 a.m. or whatever, my brother picking it up and been told. And just such a shudder or whatever. And then after that, like, there was another incident again where the phone rang. It was really late one evening and someone had died. And that's it. Yeah, I mean, when I hear a house phone going off, or it's the same as a hospital ring.
Okay.
When you're in a hospital,
Yeah.
it just does. So I just think of those phone calls or something. Yeah, if someone rings me a few times, my brother went missing in Budapest one time, and I remember. But he just slept somewhere. He slept outside or something like that. And all his mates were like, but I literally picked up the phone. It was like 16 missed calls from his mates. He's in Budapest. I'm like, oh my good God.
Yeah.
I remember the phone fell out of my hand when I tried to like ring them. I was like, boom, fell out. I was like, I had to pick it up again. And they were like, it was like The Hangover. We've lost Dean. You know, I was like, what do you mean you've lost Dean? They're like, we can't find him. We're like, we've lost him in Budapest. And I remember circling the town that day. And it was like, to be fair, it was only like 7. It was early in the morning. There was no one around town. So I was like, I think they jumped the gun a bit.
Okay.
They found him in the end, you know?
Yeah.
Brought him home. Not in good nick. But yeah, that was a time now. And again, at least it was bad news, but it wasn't bad news. I remember thinking, oh my God, like this is one of these moments I'm going to remember forever. Like,
Okay.
But yeah, the phone. Yeah, to be fair, like I'm kind of blessed. I can't remember too much bad news.
Okay.
Do you know?
I'd love to know, is there ever time your phone's got you out of a tricky situation?
I got pulled over for running a red light in America. And I was I don't know, my golf character is Dustin Johnson. He's the guy, oh, you know what I'm saying? He kind of talks like that, man. He's real droll. But I paint this stupid beard on. And it really takes a lot to get it off. And you need like a special soap and stuff. And if you take it off rough, and I actually got like a really bad rash from it one time. So I was like, I had to take it off specially. So I went back to my apartment in Florida. And on the way back, ran a red light or whatever, and got pulled in. And then, you know, the cop comes out, and like cops in America are very like, excuse me, sir, license registration, you know, and I'm like, I have an Irish license, and he's looking at it, and he can't make sense of it. And I'm like, oh no, it's backwards. Like the month and the day are backwards. He goes, yeah. And then he just goes to me, goes, yeah, I'm not stupid. I know what month, I know what year October is. I didn't want to say anything. I was like, and then he just starts asking me, and I go, what are you doing, sir? And I was like, oh, look, I'm a comedian, and I was doing videos and stuff like that, and like it just looks so stupid. I remember like putting it on my Instagram that evening, a story, like, and he starts asking me, so what are you doing? And like, can you step out of the car, sir? And I was like, oh my God, like, I look like, and people are just driving by, I've got this stupid paint on my face, and I took the hat off then, and there was wigs in the car, and then I had to explain to him what I was. I'm taking out the phone. He's like, you expect me to believe that, sir? And I was like, look, this is my job here, like this is my Instagram page. I was like, this is the character I'm doing here. And he's going, so what's this? I was like impressions, like I do comedy. And he goes over my head, man. And I was just like, yeah, it's not great, yeah. And then he literally just had a quick look at the phone, and I was like, all right, go on. And literally only that I could show him that I was clowning around, I'd say he would have like tucked me in.
Wow.
But and then another time it got me out of a jam was I got lost in Mexico. I went to a party in Mexico when I was out with my brother. His wife is from Mexico. We're out, and I got lost. Ended up going back to a party. Woke up at like 6 a.m. Didn't know where I was. Jarred. Walked down the street, and then I ended up walking into this neighborhood now. And it was not such a pleasant neighborhood in Mexico. Okay, yeah. And I was like, oh my God, and could not. I was ringing my brother and my sister-in-law. The only phone numbers I had. Oh. No pickup. I must have been 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever, like, and walking along, and like was really starting to get scared. I was like, where am I? And then the more I walked down into, I had no idea where I was going or whatever. Now I was looking at my GPS, but like I had no idea where anything was. And then didn't I get an Uber that morning from our house? Went into Uber and seen the address and was able to Google the address. Took me like an hour to walk home, like, but only for it, like I just would have walked around all night not having a clue, like.
Wow. Okay, we're basically out of time, so just want to ask a couple of really quick fire questions for you. All right, I'd love to know, especially given what you do, who's the most famous person in your phone?
Who's the most famous? Jamie Dornan, maybe.
That's pretty good. Who would be the last person you rang?
My brother Dean.
You said you're close to him.
Yeah. Well, he does social media stuff for Sky. I had to upload a video there. He was giving out about it.
Okay.
I was like literally giving out to him on the way here
for business purposes.
Yeah. I know. I taught my two brothers and stuff. Like I never need a psychologist, because like I can rant and rave like to a few people. I've got my wife, two brothers, even my parents. Like we rave, rant, and just to be fair, we phone each other quite a bit.
Okay.
To a point where actually my wife complains about me on the phone.
Yeah.
But like if she went into the shop and I rang her, and then I'm like, oh, did I tell you this? I'd literally have a conversation with her in the car as she's coming home. And then she's like, oh, I'm here at the door. I'm like, all right, bang. And that's me done with the conversation. She comes in, and I'm like, I'm on the phone now. But like if she gets me on the phone, she actually gets more. She was saying, I get more attention off you when you ring me than, so yeah.
Wow.
Phone.
Well, look, do you know what, Conor? I've taken enough of your time, and just thank you for being so giving. That was absolutely amazing. It's been so great to just properly chat to you.
Such a pleasure to meet you again.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, great to meet
definitely.
again.
No, always. Carl, thanks a million.
Thanks a million. And best luck with the new podcast as well.
Cheers.
Phone Truths is brought to you by Sky Mobile, Ireland's newest network, and it's also mobile you can expect more from. So, how can you expect more, I hear you ask? Well, listen up, because I'm about to tell you. So you can expect flexible data plans to let you change your plan whenever you like. You can also expect your bill to come down automatically once your phone is paid off. And you even get access to exclusive Sky rewards, like flights to Europe and loads more. It sounds absolutely incredible, to be fair. So don't settle for less. Sky Mobile is here, and it's time to expect more. You can visit sky.ie/mobile to find out more.